I'm trying to show our guys the urgency that I have and that I want us to have as an organization to go and make it happen. You can keep pushing it down the road, or you can talk about it now and say this is the year. And I'm tired of saying next year. This is it.
We've been saying next year in Cincinnati ever since they got to the Super Bowl in 2021, Myron. They have not been back since. How do you hear Joe Burrow there?
He's talking to his head coach. Nobody else. He's not talking to front office. He's not talking to ownership. He's not talking to his teammates. He's talking to his head coach. He's saying this has to be the year. If this isn't the year, you're not the guy. I think that's what Joe Burrow's saying. And if there isn't a change, Joe Burrow may threaten to leave. Like, at the end of the day, he's saying now is the time. They have all the pieces to advance in the AFC. They have all of the pieces to be on top. And if it doesn't happen, he's talking to his head coach and saying, I'm going to put the blame on your shoulders because he's been the one who's been taking it on in the past years.
This is the most talented Bengals team since Joe Burrow got there. I know because Joe Burrow said that in May when the roster came together. He's putting pressure and urgency on an organization where there's very rarely pressure and urgency. Mike Brown runs this team, and there have been years, maybe not in the last 3 years, but there have been years where winning has been incidental to that operation. They haven't been able to go all in. Now they make that big trade for Dexter Lawrence. Everybody in Cincinnati was looking for a trade like that to go all in and say, hey, let's improve this defense. They signed Brian Cook, who is instantly going to make them a better tackling team. Last year, it was very, very simple on defense. They could not tackle. Explosive run rate was through the roof on defense. They allowed yards after catch on basically everything. It was a disgrace. Now they're going to be more multiple on defense without Golden because of the way that their personnel is lining up. Maybe there's a little bit of a deficiency at linebacker, but really there's not a lot of holes on this team. And so I think this is Joe Burrow saying, hey, we're not going to be same old Bengals anymore. There's an urgency here. And I thought it was interesting. He said, as an organization, he wants everybody. I disagree that it's just Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor has the pressure on him, but I think Duke Tobin, who's the personnel guy, has pressure on him. I think that Mike Brown, who's an owner, has pressure on him if, as you said, Burrow is even thinking in a couple of years of asking out. So the pressure is on everybody because it's usually always on Joe Burrow, and he wants to know, hey, it's all of us this time.
But he's got the pieces, though, Kevin.
Yeah.
So, you can point to the front office, I think, in past years and say,
sure,
you're missing this, you're missing that. The pieces are there.
On paper.
On paper.
Right? I mean, getting Dexter Lawrence is amazing. We talked about his impact beyond anything that shows up in the stat columns for him, right? How he holds up double teams, how he affects the pass rush and creates one-on-ones. On paper, it's nice. But I think that's why Burrow mentioned manifesting. It's messaging. It's messaging to the front office. It's messaging to the ownership that, hey, I know it sounds good. You put these pieces together. If it doesn't come together, I might be out. And I'm going to find a way to make sure that my future and my success can be dictated by how I play, not by how much the defense lets me down. Because in the 3 years since they've missed the playoffs, Joe Burrow as a starter is 19-16. Those 16 losses, only twice did the defense allow less than 24 points. So in 14 of those losses, the offense scored 24 points or more, and it was an average of 31 points per game. That's not a Joe Burrow problem. That's a defensive problem. And yes, it looks better on paper. But if it's not, there will be a reckoning at the end of the season. And Joe Burrow is going to find out either his way or the highway in Cincinnati or the highway, and it's going to be somewhere else.
Well, this is where we jump off football season. Well, be there, Joe Burrow. Be there. Like, listen, you're good enough to win when your defense play bad. You've shown us time and time again that you can win games. And look, availability is a very, very sticky situation because you don't control times when you get injured or hurt in football. But ultimately, the ones that have won on your side is because they've been available and present. Like, that's really what it boils down to. We know Joe Burrow is good enough. We know he's one of the top quarterbacks when he's available. But there it is right there, 9-7-6. That's been the story of the Cincinnati Bengals. I get it. We could blame the defense, and we could talk about all of the things that they don't have and all of this. You wanted Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to be paid. They both $100 million wide receivers. They made attempts to fix this offensive line and put people around you. And look, as much as people talk about this offensive line, they have still been scoring 30 every game. So somebody doing something. And that's a credit to Joe Burrow as well with his availability. Yes, defensively they have to get better. Yes, they have to take major steps on that side of the football. But to couch this in a situation where Joe Burrow is putting the onus on the franchise has pretty much done what you've asked them to do since you start making these demands. It's about you being on the football field. Because I believe, and I think everybody at this table believe, that when Joe Burrow is playing, even if they do give up 30, he can score 35.
Great.
Right? And that's what you better do, because you wanted these wide receivers, because to you, that was the difference in the Cincinnati Bengals having an opportunity to win Super Bowl. The other problem is this, and herein lies the real problem, is that Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and now Bo Nix are on that side. Justin Herbert with a new offensive coordinator. They over there too. Like, we talk about this in a monolith. Like, if the Bengals are good on defense and Joe Burrow is healthy, they're going to win the Super Bowl. Bruh, it's 5 more All-Pros in this division at the quarterback position with better defense.
Yeah.
So, again, like, I get it. Cincinnati, this the best team they've had, but they ain't the best team on that side of the field. And then if you potentially get to the Super Bowl, Myles Garrett and Aaron Donald might be on the other side of that game. Make a good run. Joe Burrow stay healthy, show market improvement, and let the organization do what they're going to do. But Joe Burrow has to stand on being available for 17 or 18 weeks first. That's the first step to this team doing what he's asking them to do.
The word you used, urgency, is the one that sticks out in my mind, because there's a sect of Cincinnati Bengals fans who are so used to this team putting up with mediocrity, having all those seasons with Marvin Lewis, finishing well below 500, didn't fire him until it was a 6-10 finish. Joe Burrow's going to be 30 years old in December.
Yeah.
He doesn't necessarily represent the Bengals of old, the Bengals way of thinking, the way they've been doing business for a long time. He's got 1 more year on that contract. If it doesn't go according to plan, which the plan for this team is get back to the Super Bowl. They were there once. They can try to get there again this year. If it doesn't happen, don't be surprised if the conversation around him changes to where he's saying, I want to go somewhere else and not waste the prime of my career. All right, so that was a joint practice that was taking place in Cincinnati yesterday. We had another one. Plenty of intrigue in Foxborough between the Eagles and the Patriots. New England receiver A.J. Brown says it's all love between him and his former team, but not everyone on the Eagles loves sharing the practice field with an opponent. Here's Saquon Barkley on how he feels about joint practices.
Ankle injury that ended his season in the playoffs last year. He had 2 surgeries to repair it. All the reports are positive, but you know, mobility is a big part of Bo Nix's game. I want to make sure that he's moving around okay on that ankle.
Jordan, what are you looking for here tonight as he takes the field?
Well, I'd love to see the connection with Jalen Waddle, right? We hear about it in practice. We haven't really seen a ton. We've heard about him burning Patrick Surtain downfield with his speed. I think that's going to be a great addition to this offense.
Movement in the pocket, short area quickness to protect himself. Job number 1 of a quarterback. As you know, Jordan, let's see if he comes back 100% from the injury.
Yeah.
How good does he need to be for them to get to the Super Bowl, given the defense they have and the upgrades they've made on offense?
I mean, as good as he's been, I don't think this is a guy that needs to elevate his game beyond where it was last year. If he's healthy, they may well beat the Patriots at home in the AFC Championship game last year. So they've built a great team around him. They're strong in the trenches. You know, they get Jalen Waddle to elevate the passing game. There's really they had a great record of 1-score games last year, which always corrects. So that's the concern. But you look at their roster, there's nothing not to like.
Division, do you like him to overtake Kansas City and the Chargers here?
No, I like the Chargers. I think if the Chargers offensive line...
Shocking.
Yeah, I know.
Someone's got to do it every year.
Yeah, but
What could go wrong?
Yeah. Look, if this offensive line could just cobble together, and hopefully it does, we'll see what happens with Slater. I think Justin Herbert is protected. He has the most ability of anybody in that division.
The YPA for Nix was something to be not concerned about, but he wasn't taking a lot of shots down the field. Looks like Waddle's going to solve that.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the one thing. You add a guy that fits exactly what you want to be able to do. Stretch the field vertically, ball in hand type creative plays. So I love that addition for sure.
Justin Herbert has the most ability of any quarterback in that division.
I think this year his ceiling is higher because Patrick Mahomes is coming off of an injury.
Solely because of the knee?
Yeah, I absolutely. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be great again. I don't think it's going to happen in the first half of the season. Justin Herbert to me.
Amazing how quickly.
I just wanted to clarify.
Going back to that.
Like the best player we've ever seen plays in that division. Like, yeah, that's not.
Excellent follow-up. The reporter and Dan Graziano. Mike T, back to you. What are you going to be watching for from Cam Ward this weekend, the second-year quarterback out of Miami?
Accuracy. Come on, Cam. I love you.
Man.
You were 5 of 12 in your first preseason game. That's 41%. That is awful. He's way too talented. They have way too much ability on this team. I expected it'll be a lot better this weekend. Brian Daboll, the new offensive coordinator, former Giant head coach, I am sure will put him in a position to get some easy completions to get this offense going.
Braz, Anything you need to see from Cam Ward when he takes the field Sunday night?
Yeah, I mean, just piggybacking on what Mike T said, I was doing NFL Live with Orlovsky yesterday, and this was his point. Like, can Cam Ward make the easy throws? These are throws he shouldn't be missing, even in a new offense that he's still learning. So the performance has to be better. There needs to be a baseline that they can build off of. He had a strong finish to last year, but what we saw last week was discouraging.
Is Tennessee doing enough to put him in the best possible position to succeed?
I think so. I like the hire of Brian Daboll, and I think he's going to get the best out of him. But to that point, when you see the inaccurate throws, you get a guy that for a long time in his career depended on having a generational type arm talent. So his feet didn't have to be perfect. He could be a little late on some throws. You saw some of those highlights. He was way late over the middle of there, almost threw an interception. His feet are all over the place on some of those shorter throws, which is why those balls are a little errant. So I just want to see him look more comfortable and be more in rhythm, and I think the accuracy will get there. But, yeah, you need to see it right there. You can't miss a ball like that high. I mean, you can't do that in high school, let alone the NFL. This one, I don't mind. You're trying to fit a tight window throw in there to Carnell Tate. Don't really mind that. But, again, you just don't feel like he's in rhythm at times.
He took a lot of sacks last season. Is it possible he's a little skittish back there?
Absolutely. That can happen. I can play into it for sure.
All right, Jordan, let's stick with you. The quarterback battle in Cleveland is another one to keep an eye on. What do you want to see out of Shedeur